Hey, besties. Let's throw some shade, honey. You ready to get into it? Why is it so hard for Kyle to just look at Mauricio and ask the question? Dorit was able to do it. Do you want a divorce? Now, we'll get to how Dorit is not hearing PK because I guess she wants a yes or no answer. And it's not that simple, I'm assuming, because if a man says he wants a divorce, then it's going to cost him money, right? So you got to read between the lines, girl. But he kind of told you what to do in that email that you know. Well, welcome, besties. You are now behind the shade. Thanks for joining me. I recap your favorite reality shows weekly. Now, honey, let's kiki and haha and get into another episode of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It's season 14, episode 15, Trouble in Paradise. Do we like the title of this episode? No, because maybe it's for next week. This title should be for next week. We haven't had the trouble yet. It hasn't started. Well, at the end, but how about what do y'all want from me? How about that? What do y'all want from me? Because Sutton really wants a friendship with Kyle and maybe possibly Dorit. Okay. But besties, how would you rate this week's episode? I was in tune. Nothing was wrong. It was cool. It was I'll give it a 9. It gets a 9 from me. Please drop down in the comments and let me know what you rate this week's episode. And please like the video. You know, it's Women's Month. I'm a woman. Please like my video. Please. Make sure you're subscribed to my channel, please. And make sure your notification bell is on. Ding dong. If someone rings your bell, you should answer, right? So that way you will know each and every time I post my content. Now, Bose and Dorit visits Erica. You know, she wants to show them her new renovated home. Dorit loves it. She says she hasn't seen Erica this happy in a long time. Bose don't know. This is her first time over there, so she's like, okay. And Erica's like, well, look at the wallpaper. I'm competing with wallpaper. And it's like, girl, no, you're not. You are not there yet, honey. So anyway, Bose comes bearing gifts, and I see she has the Telfar bags. So that is a black-owned company. The purse, black-owned. I think he's an African guy that owns the purse line, but these are cute. They look like beach bags. You know, they're clear, colorful, really nice, big size. So she is planning a girls' trip to St. Lucia because in the spirit of Sutton with this sisterhood, she really wants to try to heal the sisterhood too. Bo says, you know, because going over everybody's house is not working. You know, Jennifer had a party. They got into it. She had something at her house. They got into it. They were at Kyle's house. They got into it. They was at wherever they go. They was at Garcelle's house on the beach, and they, you know, mended. But you know, just every time they get together, it's a mess. Okay, so she's like, let's take everybody out of LA, out of Beverly Hills, out of California, out of America, and let's try to bond in paradise. So she brings the girls bathing suits, some liquor, cover ups. She got flyers in there. And so she's like saying that they're going to have a real fashion show. And then she catches herself and said, oh, that wasn't shade. You know, shading Sutton last week for her fashion show. You know, her fashions weren't fashioning for the girls who are label women. I'm not going to call him the other word that starts with a W, but you know what I mean. So no one bought into it. They kept it moving. They didn't say nothing. They just like, okay. So Garcelle is visiting Sutton, honey. This is the day after the fashion show. And they're talking about how the blogs were calling Kathy Fashion Road unalive, like animals who are on the side of the road. That's what they were calling her for being on the runway while the fashion show was going on. Garcelle asked, did she talk to Dorit at the fashion show? Sutton says, we said hello, but, let's put Dorit and Sutton on ice. Like, she is still high from her fashion show. She's in her kitchen looking like she's about to go play tennis or pickleball. She's eating cucumbers. She's like, don't come in here unaliving my vibe, talking about this mess. Can we put it on ice? So then Dorit is like, well, she tells Sutton that her and Dorit went to dinner. And I was expecting Sutton to have something to say about that. And she didn't. I was like, it seemed like Sutton would have had a problem with Garcelle going out with Dorit. You know what I'm saying? Like, why are you doing that? Are you the ops? So she went to dinner with Dorit and she asked, like, you remember when Garcelle asked Dorit what was her and Sutton's beef? And then you know how Dorit act like, I don't have beef. You think I have beef with her? I don't have beef with her. Garcelle's told her, yes, and she tells Sutton, like, I told Dorit that it's not one-sided, honey. You doing your part too. So Dorit is over there telling Bose and Erica the same thing. So Erica says, what about what was done to me, when Sutton and Garcelle didn't cut me any slack when I was in my dark moment. And, Garcelle told me I need to check my drink and pills ratio and all this and all that. And it's like, Erica, you're reaching, and please stop. That was so last season. We don't remember that. Or was that 2 seasons ago? But Erica, this not your girl. This ain't your circus. This ain't your monkey. Please stop. Just stop. But I'm noticing that Erica doesn't miss a moment to clap back at Garcelle and Sutton. I noticed that. So she's all like, oh, so now Sutton wants sympathy. And so she said, Garcelle defends her behavior. Yeah, she does. So Garcelle is telling Sutton about the Kelly bag. You know how she asked Dorit, would you be okay with Sutton if she gave you that Kelly bag? And then her response, oh, yeah, we'll be best friends. I'll be calling her. We'll be on the phone right now. And then Sutton says, of course it would. So Bose is over there listening to Dorit, and she said, this is so hypocritical. And so she said, well, you guys, I'm working on the room assignments for St. Lucia, and just know that we'll all be together in a villa. And they're like, well, that, and I'm like, well, that makes sense. It makes sense that Garcelle, Sutton, and Kyle will be together because, they went to Augusta together. But I was thinking if Kathy Hilton comes, then Kyle and Kathy will be in their own villa like before. So Garcelle and Sutton noticed that Dorit and Kyle have just made up, and they are just kikiing and ha-haing and smizing and just snickling and giggling together. And so Garcelle believes that Sutton and Kyle were close when Kyle and Dorit were beefing, right? That makes Sutton happy. Sutton really wants to be good friends with Kyle, like really, really, she wants to, and it makes Garcelle just ugh. So then Garcelle brings up Mauricio's, the picture of him and a girl in Greece, the mocha nose, and so and how Kyle is now back at Morgan's concerts, honey. And Garcelle said it's very interesting how we can all talk about Mauricio, but we can't talk about Morgan. And so Sutton defends Kyle. Well, she needs her privacy, and I'm going to give it to her. And so Garcelle is like, oh, in her confessional, she's like, Sutton is scared of Kyle. I'm like, okay, name him. Name them. What is wrong with you? If you be quiet, I can't talk. Name them. Name them. Sutton was drunk then. She was drunk then. So Garcelle wants, to ask Kyle about Morgan. Like, why is that off-putting? We can't do that. Sutton does not want to make Kyle angry. And Garcelle is like, I ain't with all this. So I guess that mess is going to be stirred up in St. Lucia. So Bose brings over Kyle's bag to her St. Lucia bag, and they open up to each other and they talk about divorce, the possibilities and what's ahead and how things are going and how she's feeling and all this and all that. And then Bose shares, her moments with her late husband. So Kyle tells Bose that Mauricio had moved out right when they met. So maybe, remember how Bose was saying how Kyle hasn't warmed up to her and all that. So, Kyle is able to say, hey, this is what I was going through and am going through now. Then Kyle cries, that's what she does. And so she said, because, she was unsure about, Mauricio, but what's going to happen, right? And then Mauricio, when he moved out, that just kind of like slapped her in the face, like, oh, we doing that now. I thought we would just be in different bedrooms and just living and, woo, woo, woo. Probably like saving face for the kids too, because Portia is 16. She's still in the house. And so that was just like, whoa, he moved out and he bought furniture. So permanent, right? So Bose shares that she was afraid to ask her late husband for a divorce when they were separated. And he had another woman. So then when he became terminally sick and was in the hospital, that woman would be in the room with him rubbing his head and all this and all that. And the doctor said, he had 2 weeks, 2 months to live, and he lived 6 months. She said he got sick in May and he passed away in December. And yeah. Whew, so when she came to the hospital, saw this woman rubbing his head, she lost it. She was like, you got to go. He laughed about it. She said he made a post on Facebook on how she was there for him, because they were separated. But at the same time, that's my husband. That's my man. I don't care. We don't have that much time together. We going to be here. I'm going to ride this thing out. I'm going to, I'm going to do my vows with this man to death. I gotta be here for this guy. This is my man, And so Bo says she understands how hard it is to see someone, your mate, your spouse, your husband, who you've built a life with. It's hard to see them move on without you, right? So Bose asks, when are y'all gonna move on? Like, what's up? Do I need to give you the Dorit speech? Because I've been trying to help Dorit get out of her mess. Do you need help too? I'm like, at this point, Bose, you need to add life coach, therapist to your resume and send these girls an invoice. And so she's like, when you going to move on past being separated? And Kyle is like, that photo changed the game. Like, that changed some things. Kyle is like, I am not with this. No, he did not. But baby, let's not forget about what you did, Kyle, okay? So she says that her and Mauricio, they have to talk. But when he came over, you didn't talk. You over there, you can't get nothing out. You waiting on him. And they've told y'all. Who told them? Sutton? Or was it Jennifer Tilly? You need to go get you go get your attorneys. Hurry up. Go find your attorneys. Because, honey, we already learned that if you talk to the big attorneys, then they can't hire them because they've already talked to you. You need to get busy because, Dorit, you're going to end up with nothing. I don't know if PK has anything, but whatever he got, if it's 20, you're not getting 10, okay? Girl, you better hurry up and get it together. Now, speaking of them, PK and Dorit meet for dinner and mocktails, okay? As you know, Mr. Man can't be drinking. So they both have been doing their own work, therapy, whatever. Dorit says, my eyes are wide open now. He like, what that mean? So she tells him, I see things. I see how you are, who you are, what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sitting here being no, you are. They're not all the way wide open. PK says that he didn't want to be bothered with her, her control issues. And she tried to dictate where he would live. Remember when he moved out and he was looking for apartments and he went ahead and just got his own without her, and she was all brought her back. She was like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he didn't include me. And he was like, he didn't want her approval. He was like, I don't need your approval. You need to you need to back up, So then she brings up the email that he sent her. So he just says, I wanted to bring some experts in, meaning attorneys, because we were not communicating well. And I'm like, Dorit, why are you I know you have read that email 100 times. Girl, he wants a divorce, okay? But here she goes. She asked him, do you want a divorce? And so, they go to commercial. So come back from commercial. So he told her, you bring out the worst in me. Wow, that was something. That was deep. That was deep. That was low. I mean, it was real, right? And he said, we have to co-parent. And then he goes, you are my best effing mate. So he's a little confused too. He like, I don't want you to control me. You need to back up. You be on me. She rides him too hard. I think he needs a little bit of freedom. Just like she be on him too hard. And so, when somebody tells you, you bring out the worst in them, that is deep, like OMG. So he wants to really, he says because she's his best mate, he would like to get their friendship back. And he has said this a few times, but I don't think she's hearing it. So he does not know if he wants a divorce. He doesn't know if that's in their future. Now let me tell you what I know about men. That right there is saying I want a divorce. Okay? If the man is not saying, no, babe, I don't want a divorce. I want to work this out. If he's not saying that, anything else he says is saying, yes, I want a divorce. Are we clear? They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want to say something and you bust them crying. They don't want that. They really want you to file for the divorce. They want you to break up with them. But Dorit wants clarity, and he's trying to explain to her that he wants to become friends again. And if they don't get back to that, then they will not be married. See, he can't even say the D word. He can't even bring that out. He just knows that will just cut Dorit to just different 1,000 pieces. He can't even say the D word. He has to say not be married. And she doesn't want a divorce, but she says it's up to him. No, it's not. He told you he does not want to be together. Y'all ain't gonna be back friends again. You gonna still be controlling. He gonna go back to drinking and not coming home. He spends too much time in London. You were separated when you was married, Dorit. Come on, read the writing is on the wall, okay? Maybe that should be the name of this episode. The writing is on the wall. But Dorit and Kyle just ain't reading it. They want PK and Mauricio to read it to them out loud. Okay? So, over at Bose's home, Keely comes by and he brings dessert because they're having dinner, like a family dinner. Him, her, and Lael. He brings flowers for the daughter. So cute. And so what we learn is that they have never been one-on-one together. He's always been around her daughter in groups. Like when he first met her, when he went to Ghana to meet them, I think they were there with family or whatever, because I think that's where she's from. And he came to meet some of her family, and then that's when he met her daughter. So tonight they're having dinner together at her house. So he asked her, what was her first impression of him when they met in Ghana? And she was like, "You're cool." Yeah. And this girl, she's just so cute. She's just always smiling and just so easygoing. And she was asking the questions, honey. Now, I don't know if she was, if her and Bose practiced and rehearsed before, because she said, because Bose said she's asking all the questions that I can't ask. And I'm like, well, did you put her up to it? Because it seems like it. And she was asking, honey. So they sit down, they're eating. And for the life of me, I just don't understand why Bowles did not fix that man's plate. It was like a pass the bowl, pass this, pass that. You can, and it was like, okay. And I know she didn't cook, right? So where's the chef? Why couldn't the chef prepare the plates? I mean, I don't know, but I just think you as the lady, you should, he's here, you're hosting, you should fix his plate. That's what I think. They should have done that in the kitchen and brought the plates to the table. Then they would have had more room. Okay, moving on. So Lael is like, so will y'all be moving together before marriage? Now that's something a parent would ask. So Keegley is like, well, I've done that before. I've moved in with a woman before we got married, but this time will be different. I would wait until an engagement, and then I would want you and her to have a talk first. And so, he lives in San Diego. So she asked him, like, would we be moving there or are you moving here? And so he was like, he would move here because it'd be best to move here. He wouldn't want her to uproot her from her school and her friends. She's 15. So high school is important. This is where you have your bonds and you meet your forever friends. And, you want to keep that going. Nobody wants to move into a new city at 15, 16 years old. It'll probably be very hard to meet friends. And so then she asked, do you just want one more kid or more kids? So he doesn't have any. So he said he wants more than one. How soon? And they just start laughing and he gets to drinking and the questions are getting too hot in there. It's getting hot in here. So honey, he was like, oh, let me get some more to drink. So Mauricio goes home. He comes home. He in the kitchen making something to drink. He eating, snacking. Portia like, what's up? She go upstairs. So here go Kyle. How was your trip? Oh, it was very inspirational. We did all these blah, 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 blah. And then he said, I only partied 5 nights out of the 25 I was there. She don't believe him. Because they did a flashback to that Caspia party, the caviar Caspia party, and Faye said that Mauricio was trying to drag her husband to Central Pay, to have this, to do this single lifestyle thing with him and PK. And so Kyle's like, mm-hmm. And so Kyle says he seemed like he's distracting himself to avoid her. Well, Kyle, I believe he's doing the separation the way he's supposed to. Because they said in the streets of YouTube that Kyle asked for a separation because Mauricio had been cheating and not showing her love. So she wanted to kind of scare him straight and, do this separation thing, and it's reversing on her. And so now that he can do his thing, he could be outside for real and not be sneaking. He's into it. He loves it. He likes it. And so in their separation, Kyle did try to move on with Morgan, but she, figured out that it's not what she wants. She'd rather be back with her dude or whatever. And so she just waiting on him to say he want to get back together. And I don't think Mauricio is going to say that. So she's struggling, she's having realizations, and she's crying a lot because this marriage is over. Okay. So Mauricio's explaining how traveling alone, he wanted to do it because he's never done it. It's very different because he's used to traveling with his family. And so he wanted to see what it was like. He never did say if he loved it more. Not, of course, he's not gonna say that, but so then they just had a staring contest. They're just staring at each other, just staring. So then he goes ahead and apologizes for the photos, and he didn't want to hurt her. Now, Kyle said that he said at first that he didn't want to talk about it. And then he started to talk about it. And this is why I don't like these edited shows. Like, I know there was more. Like, how did this end? How long did they talk for? How long did they hug for? How did he leave the house? What was said? Did she ever ask the question, do you want a divorce? So Kyle says it was hard to see. She said, but hey, we're separated and you can do what you want to do. And she says, I just don't know what to do now. And he don't say nothing. She starts to cry. She walks across the kitchen, grabs some tissue, and then he always gives her his two arms and he hugs her. And she takes that hug, honey. That is her man, her man, her man. 30 years with this dude. Oh, goodness. So Kyle, we never saw her ask him, does he want a divorce? I guess she's afraid also that he would say yes. But we talking about the pictures with him. What about the pictures with you, Kyle? We saw, did Mauricio does he not know that she's hanging out with Morgan again? Did I say, does he not know that? Is he not going to bring it up because he's a gentleman? Like, what is going on? Why is this not coming up? Why can't we talk about Morgan? But I think Garcelle go in that next week. So Bo said after she had to herd all these girls to get them to LAX at all these different times, different flights, they all gonna meet up in Miami. I think it was just Kathy and Dorit that left earlier. And they're gonna meet up in Miami. Then they're all gonna head to St. Lucia all together. So then they arrive at their beautiful resort. Child, they were escorted to the resort by police, honey. Two in the back, two in the front. I was like, all right, President. What is going on? Kathy, is that you doing that? Or Bose, is this the way you roll, honey? Because, baby, you are pulling out all the stops. Jennifer Tilly, was that you, boo? Because, in this group, it's three good, rich women. Some wealthy women. So they were greeted with cocktails, and then inside there was a steel drum band playing on the patio. And I used to play the steel drum when I was a kid. I learned, and boy, that used to be fun. And it sounds so good. And so, good start to a good girls' trip. Poor Bowles. She just hopes that these women can get it together. She hopes there is no drama. She said, if there's any drama, it's because of them, because there's no way you would want to even bring all that here. Oh, but you just wait, Bowles. So here's the room assignment. Bowles, Dorit, and Erica will be in Bowles' villa. Kyle and Kathy will be in their own villa. And then Sutton, Garcelle, and Jen will be in their own villa. And then it was stated that Jen and Sutton have to share beds. What? And Sutton and Jen, they travel together. They are friends. They're travel buddies, so they used to doing this. But I don't think they slept in the same bed. So Jennifer Tilly is a little afraid because she says she has sat next to Sutton on flights. And Sutton has a tendency to wake up in the middle of the night and just scream. So they all go to their private villas. Everything is nice. They all have patios with pools on them. Really nice. Honey, Jen brought her some candy, and too bad it spilled all over her luggage, child. She's like, oh my goodness, I need this candy. She said after being around these women with these horrifying dinners, she needs her candy when she come back, because she probably doesn't even eat because they be cutting up so bad. She be hungry. So she brought her little candy, and it's all spilled. So Garcelle and Jen, they're talking to Sutton about Dorit. They haven't spoken since they've been, together. I guess when they got together in Miami and now in St. Lucia. Garcelle says Sutton's eyes are back. It's on now. Sutton got her swag back. Her eyes, they cut. You know how her eyes can cut you like a knife, right? So Jen says this group is very cliquish and it's a tough group to crack. Like she thought she would come into this group and they would be holding hands and skipping and singing and whistling and having sleepovers and popping popcorn and child. No. Dorita's over there with Bose and it's Erica. And she's telling them, I just really want to have fun. Well, you have to be the fun, honey. You have to be the fun that you want. Sutton says how easy it is for Dorita and Kyle to bond back together again after all that drama. And Garcelle says, yeah, like us. They're close like me and you. Sutton's like, whatever. Sutton wants Dorit and Kyle to like her. She says, but I just can't get them to. And then she starts crying. Girl, if you don't be quiet. So then, honey, 24 hours later, they're on a boat ride, and Dorit is telling Sutton that she can dish it, but she can't take it. Then Erica tells Sutton, you pose as a friend, but you're really an enemy. And then Sutton starts shouting and repeating, what do y'all effing want from me? What do you want from me? What do y'all want from me? And then you know how Kathy just sits there quiet. Kyle is sitting there quiet, but she be looking left to right, trying to see what's going to happen next. And it didn't say to be continued, but baby, it will be continuing next week. And this is episode 15. Next week will be 16. So I guess we'll be wrapping up maybe in 2 weeks. Maybe they'll wrap up in St. Lucia, or maybe they'll come back home and then wrap up. I don't know. And then we'll be headed for the reunion. But season 14 is winding on down. We ease it on down the road. Hey, hey, hey. It's been a good season. But like I've said before, if Dorit is making this storyline up about her marriage, shame on her and PK. Shame, shame, shame. But that was the end, besties. We have, you got to tell me what you thought. Tell me what you're thinking about this episode. Don't forget to like this video. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and make sure your notification bell is on. And besties, I'll be back with another recap. Bye, besties.